Hey guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today it is all about my 5 favorite romance novel. So I read 25 romance this year, which is a bit less than last year, but these 5 are memorable for different reasons. And I'm going to start off with Snowflakes by Nia Forrester, and this is a story that was different and I loved it because I read it first of all at the perfect time of the year because it was winter when I read it, and also the author is a Jamaican author, which I didn't know, which was a good plus because I was able to add it to a list. But the story is not. It involves 2 college kids and they're going through the motions of whether or not their family situation is ideally it's molding them into something that they're struggling with. For instance, one is very introverted and the other one is just the life of the party, and they didn't want to go home for Thanksgiving. They didn't know each other very well, actually not at all, and mostly they'll pass each other on their way to their home because they both live in the same apartment complex. And something happened that bonded them and somewhat build a friendship with them, and that friendship over time became more than just friendship, and it was just so beautifully done. And what I like is how they talk about how your parents can influence you as when you grow up and become an adult, and your idea of a long-term relationship. What does that mean to you, especially if your father was never around, or you've never seen your parents intimate at all. Like, we're talking basic holding each other hand, or maybe they've kissed each other, or a loving embrace. So you've never seen your parents do that, and then you are now in this part of your life where you're now pursuing long-term relationship and you have no clue what that is. So I thought that was very interesting and I love that, and definitely got my attention throughout the winter and I loved it. I thought it was different. The next one I want to talk about is All Grown Up, and this is Vikilla. Now Vikilla and me have an interesting relationship because he sometimes writes stories that have a theme that I hate, but this was totally different. And this one involves the banging guys, and this one involves an older woman, younger guy situation. It was just so well done. We have an older woman that was in a 20-year relationship where she got married very young, had a child, never really got to grow up, never really got to be enjoy the 20s and live your life up. Now you are now divorced and you want higher education because you became a housewife. You didn't go pursue anything you wanted to pursue, and now you want to go back to school. You want to see what it's like to be out there in the world and to date and all these things that you didn't get to do because of what you picked up. Now what I liked about this is that it's not saying nothing is wrong with that, but in terms of what she had, she didn't really have a loving marriage where she was mostly controlled in this marriage, and she didn't really get to pursue anything she wanted without her husband take on it. Like, he had to approve everything. So now she's on her own. She's having to learn to do everything on her own without someone dictating or influencing what she chooses to do, and I love that. Now this younger male character that was in the picture is a 12-year difference. He's like the opposite, where he became had to grow up fast. He had to take care of his sister after something happened to his parents, and you see the difference in growth. You see how, yes, he's been able to live a certain lifestyle prior to that, but he's also had to grow up and be mature. So in a lot of cases where a normal person his age would have not been a good fit for her, in this case it was a good fit because he had to learn responsibility and had to do certain things, and they just matched, but in a way where they gave each other room to grow. And that's the part of the story I really enjoyed. So I was here for that. Now the next one is by, of course, Danielle Allen. That's The Telltale, and it was influenced by Edgar Allan Poe. Now let me tell you, I was wondering, how did she get a short story that's horror and related to a romance? And oh my god, she used a particular quote, and I won't tell you what it is, and that quote really sums up the kind of emotional things that was happening with this relationship. So you have 3 people. You have a girl, her brother, and they're best friends. So all three grew up together, and they have a bond, and a bond that decided they weren't gonna break, they weren't gonna do anything outside of that, and they loved each other. And over time, the girl and the guy became drawn to each other, and there was this love that was brewing, there was this affection that was beyond friendship that was brewing, and they didn't want to cross the line, they didn't want to step over because they felt like they could damage each other. But they played this thing where they pretty much sabotage any relationship each of them got into, one way or the other, and eventually they couldn't fight it anymore after 12 years, and they crossed the line. And now that they crossed the line, now what? How do you go back from that, and how do you not hurt the people in your life? It was just so dramatic, so juicy, but also interesting, and you were rooting for them. Now the scenery in this book is just everything. It's just how she described where they were at, because they went certain places for an event. Loved it. But it's just, I like how she talked about that quote and while she used it. It made so much sense in the story as you read the story, as you see the relationship going. But it was just clever, and I'm so glad that she was able to do that, because, you know, that was a gem in the story. Now, the next book I want to talk about is Rubble and Beverly Jenkins. You know, she knows historic fiction, and she can really weave in historic scene into a romance, and it's done in a way where you smile and you appreciate it, and you learn something new, and you think about women then, and you think about what intimacy and sex and all that meant then. And one of the things that was interesting to me is how much sex was more of a man's desire or a man's pleasure versus a woman. And I like how she talked about it in the book and made it a question of more of a naive woman wondering, how does that feel? How does, you know, feels to have to get certain pleasure from a man. And I thought it was playful, and it was cute, and it was interesting, and it was an equally well done mix, because, you know, we're talking African American in New Orleans post, you know, the Civil War. So there's that racial tension, and there's a female character who's a teacher, and what she's trying to do. And to get that that blend of talking about something serious but still incorporate romance, that to keep you interested and balance out the story for it to be, you know, to be a good historic fiction, was well done. And I love that she's able to do that often in a lot of her story, because I read 3 of her stories this year, and that was, you know, my favorite out of all 3. And I'm looking forward to read the next book in this. So yeah, I was here for this one. And then of course the one I already spoke about in the previous video, which is Hookshot. Oh my god, yeah. Kennedy Ryan really got me this year, and I love this story. I love this story a lot, and I talked about it before, and how important it that she really dig into this story and talk about sex and intimacy, the differences, and how some women who have been traumatized at a young age struggle with that. They can have sex all day long and doesn't even remotely feel an intimacy or certain intimate connection to the person that they engage in sexual activity with. I love that she talked about a group in this, and how that group is women in that group, and how they different feelings they all have, and when, you know, that certain connection happened, and when she's learning and she's embracing that idea of being intimacy, of letting go, and how she letting a man in, and having that pleasure of being intimate with that man. I thought it was beautiful. I was like, oh yes, yes, yes. Kennedy Ryan, yes, I am a big fan. She is definitely going to be an author I'm going to continue reading, because she did her damn thing in this book. I loved it. It was the 3rd book in the Hoop series, and she really got me from the first one though. You know, Long Shot was the first one. That's the one that she won the award for, and I didn't think it could get any better because the second one was okay, but when she got to the third, and I was like, oh, I was so for this. And yeah, guys, that is my 5, and these are the ones that I memorable, had substance, like I said, sexy, romantic, all of that. Definitely recommend it if you're looking for something that's out of the box and not your typical romance. They are sexual in here, but like I said, because of the entire package of the storyline, it just makes it melt in so wonderful, and you're gonna appreciate it. So yes. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'm sorry if you hear a little sound in the background, but it's gonna be like that all week. So thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye bye.